the duology. We're just getting more gay for our gay in terms of both when we're doing this and what we're playing. My name is Ella Watts. I am your GM today, and I am here with a group of seriously incredible players. You are watching Girls Run These Worlds. It is an incredible channel dedicated to women, femmes, queer people, and kind of just lifting up the voices of people across our community. I also want to emphasize that it has just been LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Right now, it is Disability Pride Month. And I'm going to ask all of my fellow LGBTQ plus people to please remember that it is Disability Pride Month and to show solidarity with our disabled community as well, especially our LGBTQ plus disabled community. Alrighty. So, my name's Ella, my pronouns are she, her. I'm going to be running this game, but the really exciting thing is who's going to be playing it. We're going to start off, please, with Anya.
Oh, my name is Anya. My pronouns are she, her. I forgot what else I was supposed to say. I'm playing Echo. She's the beast. Her pronouns are also she, her. Was there anything else?
Your name, your pronouns, your character, and their pronouns is perfect. I love it.
Amazing.
Like we just want to tease people. We want to drop like a little bit of information and then really make them stick around for everything else. Alrighty, next up, Hector.
Hi, my name is Hector Reyes. I am playing the infamous playbook. I'm playing Tristan. My pronouns are he, they. Tristan's pronouns are also he, they. And the playbook is the infamous.
I really liked the way you said also with that kind of like just little bit of a like Rocky Horror kind of anticipation moment of just like we wait, and there's the bit. Okay, cool. Erin.
Hi, my name is Erin. My pronouns are she, her. I will be playing Firen, who is the scoundrel, and Firen's pronouns are she, they.
Gorgeous. Elle.
Hi, I am Elle. I will be playing the nature witch Irene. Both of us use they, them pronouns. I'm happy to be here.
Heck yeah. And finally, last but certainly not least, Robin.
Hey, I'm Robin, she, they, and I'm going to be playing the sun hand, Ash, whose pronouns are also she, they.
Okay, so I've already said that we're playing Thirsty Sword Lesbians / Advanced Lovers and Lesbians. This is a game that was written by April Kit Walsh. It's published by Evil Hat Productions. Both are excellent. Advanced Lovers and Lesbians is an expansion to the first book with a bunch of new classes and a couple new settings. I also want to mention that today we are specifically using Girls Run These Worlds' own JC Darcy's zine setting for TSL. It's part of the Pride zine, and we are running a giveaway throughout this stream. So if you put !TSL, I believe, in the chat, then you can enter for a chance of winning that zine. And it's the zine we're using today to run a Knight's Tale style gay lesbian tournament extravaganza. I am very, very excited about it. In terms of just general content, themes, and genre, this is going to be a pretty light-hearted game. Largely speaking, if you want to think about like kind of roughly the racing, we're talking kind of She-Ra, the Princesses of Power, with maybe slightly more swearing. There isn't going to be any harsh gore. It's very unlikely that there's going to be any dramatic deaths. But there might be some flirting and some feelings and some kind of feeling big things about who we are and how we are in our communities and all that good stuff. In terms of trigger warnings, I think just be aware that we might be discussing complicated relationships with family members, with identity, and with like nations and cultures. So if those are themes and things that you might find troubling, then please just go in safely. And if at any point you're feeling uncomfortable or unhappy, switch us off and go somewhere else. It's okay. Like, there are so many people in the world that you can support. Switch on another queer stream, switch on a stream from a disabled streamer. It's absolutely fine. Your health and well-being are extremely important. So please don't stay here if it's making you unhappy. But hopefully it won't make you unhappy and you'll have a nice time. We're all going to do our best. Okay. I think that's all of the admin side of things. So do you guys want to like play a game? Do we want to play a game? Do we want to go be like medieval fantasy guys? Yeah. I think that's a good idea. All right. Let's get this started. So you are all in a caravan A string of carriages and carts towed by various horses. And these are covered in beautiful fabrics, woven specifically in the Magayan Republic, which is famous for its textile weaving. And each of these fabrics, like they have quite specifically and a little politically been woven in a rainbow of colors. So your caravan is just covered with rainbow tapestries all over. There are kind of streamers running in the breeze. There are ribbons on your horses. It's an extremely beautiful and colorful affair. And among that caravan are a lot of extremely beautiful and colorful people, not least you yourselves. You have been summoned here to this tournament by Queen Velda of Bellamaro. Queen Velda is a reasonably young queen. She's in her 30s. And in her time as queen so far, she has pursued an aggressive expansionist policy, either annexing various neighboring territories through slightly dodgy trade deals and politics and marriages, or by outright just invading and conquering them. And all of you come from kingdoms that are free for now, but are very aware that the Kingdom of Bellamaro might be looking your way next. And that's a slightly uncomfortable thing. So when the queen of this very powerful, militaristic, expansionist, aggressive imperial nation says she'd really just so love it if you came to her tournament, it's kind of hard to say no. Plus, it has occurred to some of you that being here and making said queen, look a bit bad, look a bit less all-powerful than she claims to be, might be a good thing for you and a bad thing for her. So, for various reasons, you found your way towards this tourney that Queen Velda is running. In fact, you can already see on the horizon the smoke and kind of fire and various turrets of the tourney grounds built for this occasion. But before we get there, I'd love it if you could please introduce your characters. I would love to know what your character looks like, which kingdom they're from, and why they're here. Starting off with Robin, please.
So my character's name is Ash. She's a tall, sort of butch lesbian with green hair that kind of contrasts really nicely with the desert that she's usually wandering. So she comes from the wandering nation of Helzarian, who are just like a group of nomads wandering. She's the sun hand. So her main ability is to be able to make bread, kind of just to bake bread with her hands. So she's always looking for new ingredients, new recipes. She's taught herself how to bake and she got really good at it. And she kind of thinks she's hot shit. Sorry for the swear. But yeah, she thinks she's pretty awesome. And she's, yeah, I guess we can stop with that. Other things will be revealed later, I'm sure.
Okay. What is Ash doing as she's kind of walking alongside of this caravan? Is she the kind of person who'll be like sitting in the back of a cart, kind of chatting to people? Is she someone who'll be walking a little to the side, maybe like having a bit of her own space? Is she riding a horse? Is she riding another animal that's not a horse? You can have a unicorn if you want a unicorn. What's she doing?
I think she's pretty used to just walking with her feet. Because that's what she does normally. She's probably experimenting with like a new recipe that she's trying out, and she's just kind of like she has dough in her hands. She's kind of just like playing around with it and like, cooking, I guess, while she's walking.
I love that. So wait, also to be clear, so her hands heat up, is that what you're saying? And like it kind of bakes the bread.
Yeah, her hands create like a solar aura, I believe. And it just literally bakes in her hands.
Oh, beautiful. Sorry. So, okay, so a thing that everyone else should be aware of in this caravan is that because of Ash, you are all getting the sweet, perfect, mouth-watering scent of freshly baked bread just continuously traveling with you on this caravan. It's pretty great. Compared to other caravans where mostly the smell has been body odor, leather, and horses, fresh baked bread, it's a good experience. Alrighty, next up. Elle, I would love you please to describe to me what your character looks like, where your character is from, and why your character is here.
All right. Irene is fairly short. They have stark white hair that's in sort of this wolf cut and freckles all over their body. They've got big old glasses, big old round glasses, and one of their eyes is a bright blue and the other is a very deep orange color. And they are from the Cameltho Isles, so they get to, it was a beautiful place, very naturey, very happy, very good for a nature witch up until, you know, a little bit ago. Evil queens are doing evil queen things. And currently they are talking with the horses. And they have a little African gray, I shouldn't say little, African gray parrots are fairly big. They have an African gray parrot perched on their shoulder who occasionally chimes in with what sounds like nonsense, but Irene always responds to it.
I love that. And I love that Irene is talking to the horses. I think as they're kind of like walking along, you're next to this big, beautiful, kind of painted Shire horse. So like the horse itself is like easily kind of coming up to like, ooh, 5.5 feet at least at the shoulder. And then like the neck kind of goes up here. You've got these lovely big fluffy feet that you have to kind of avoid getting stood on, and it is just the friendliest, gentlest giant. I don't know how much time any of you have spent around Shire horses, but they're very cuddly. And it's really loving the attention. It's kind of just trudging along. It's got this massive cart behind it. There's like 20 people inside. It's a very strong horse, but it's just kind of occasionally just sort of bumping its head against Irene and just kind of leaning down and like snuffling, and kind of like, I think occasionally Irene's parrot is just a little bit like ruffled feathers and kind of hopping up and down on Irene's shoulders as like the horse gets really close, and the horse's head is bigger than the parrot because an African grey is a big parrot, a Shire is a big horse. So there's just a little bit of a moment of your parrot being like, hang on, I'm used to being the biggest guy in the room, what's happening? Alrighty.
Irene's just barefoot, having a great time with the horse. Occasionally looks back to Ash, does little waves and little thumbs up.
That is so cute. I love the nature witch. I love the nature witch. A theme of this stream is that every time we discuss something quintessential to a playbook, I'm going to be like, oh, I love that playbook. And it's because I do. I love this game. Anyway, next up, Erin, please could you describe your character, what they look like, where they're from, and what they're doing here?
All right. So Firen is she is riding a horse as well. It's it's a sort of dappled gray horse. And she is wearing this sort of like princely outfit. It is the coat with tails, epaulets, stuff like that. And she also has a group of attendants that are following her and seem to be watching her very closely, if anyone is watching. None of them let them out of their sight. And she is just sort of plodding along every so often, like when she makes eye contact with a different person in the caravan, she'll like wink at them. And but she is mostly for the moment keeping to herself because every time she tries to go talk to someone, one of the attendants sort of rides their horse up next to her.
Oh, it's the worst when you're getting kind of, there is a R-rated word that I could say for this, but when people interrupt your ability to have romantic relations with other people in a way that is frustrating in a rhyming 2-syllable word. Anyway, yeah, like absolutely. One of the things that is happening is that behind Firen is a set of triplets. And they are these 3 women in, the strawberry dress, like kind of very much a kind of cleavagey curve hugging-y kind of flowy strawberry pink dress thing going on. And you know, all three of these triplets have like kind of lovely, like wavy kind of ginger hair. And they are just so very pretty and so very curvy, and they are all blushing and giggling and whispering to each other and trying to like poke past your attendants to kind of wave at you or kind of be like, oh. And just generally enjoying like Firen's sheer kind of that like kind of laconic style of just being very hot but not making a big deal of it. And yeah, like over the course of this caravan trip, I think that they have accrued a small fan club of which the triplets are an enthusiastic part. Alrighty. Next up, Hector, please could you describe what your character looks like, where they're from, and what are they doing here? Because I am imagining that your character isn't coming from outside the kingdom, coming in.
So the idea is my character, we'll start with how he looks. We'll keep it in order. Tristan is an impressive 6'4", shoulder length, black, wavy, so brown hair, but so dark it's almost black. A well-trimmed beard, square jaw, intense eyes, but very young. Like, even though and then they're well fit, they're athletic, they're wearing like a black doublet with like silver stitching. It has the sleeves, but the slashing in it, in the sleeves, is bright, bold colors. So like one slash reveals red, one slash reveals orange, another slash will reveal blue, in the various slashing in the puffy sleeves. And then he has some nice sturdy like riding trousers, that leather, that fits him in all the right places, and sturdy riding boots, a beautiful knight's chain that is around his neck. And normally unadorned chains but worn by anointed knights are, you know, silver or steel, or bronze. No, this one is been enchanted, so that it's all of the metal are different rainbow colors that represent the full spectrum of every single color of the nations. Kind of underneath that, they have like, you know, like a hood, you know, like a little hood that's black, but also you can see like the stitching, the hand embroidery on the edges of the hood are all different rainbow colored threads. And you can see that someone literally hand stitched individual like rainbow seams onto the edges of each one. And he is holding the reins, and then the saddlebags, you can see the saddlebags are heavy with armor. Like you could see a little piece of like blackened steel kind of peeking out from one of the side of the saddlebags, and you can kind of, you know, imagine when he is in his armor, well, you'll hear about that later during the tournament. And then he also has like a cloak, you know, with the penannular on it. And the cloak is actually inside out. On the inside of the cloak, you could see hand embroidered in silver, the heraldry of the royal house of Belmora. While the outside of the cloak is a lovely ash gray, but it's being concealed. So Tristan is known by everyone else in the caravan and various other peoples throughout the kingdoms, secretly as the Forsworn Prince. He is from Belmora. He is the only and oldest son of the queen, which he was had at a very young age. He is only just turned 18, but he has been a knight since he was 14. As you can see, the spurs, he's these old spurs, and, you know, a sword that he keeps, you know, at his side, a knight's blade, that if you look closely, you'll notice also has the seal of the kingdom on it, but like he's kind of keeping it partially hidden for the cloak. The reason why he's here is because he has just gotten done doing a tour of all of the kingdoms, for as far as the public is concerned, for diplomacy. Rumors say that him and his mother got into a heated argument and he left, and hasn't been back in a while. All of you in the caravan will know that he's just been visiting and guesting and learning, and he is making an unannounced return home.
Dun dun dun. Yes, this is all very exciting. I cannot wait to see how the story unfolds. And finally, very much last but not least, Anya, please could you describe your character us? Please could you describe their look, what they look like, where they're from, and why they are here?
Yeah, so Echo is a very interesting figure. She is sitting astride a piebald gelding with nice floofy leg stockings, and very, very like the horse is very well cared for, you can tell. And she is just covered in a mishmash of clothing that is both masculine and feminine in a way that just blends perfectly together. She does not like to be restricted, and so like she doesn't have like she has her tunic open a little bit, showing off a little bit of cleavage, and she has all manner of like scars crisscrossing whatever skin you can see. She has a very strange hilted blade at her side, and she has been spending the majority of this trip just winking and flirting with anyone femme who is willing to flirt back. She is from, I have to look at the name of it, from the city-state of Romania. So a rather small area, but it's one of those things of she knows everyone from Romania, and she is just very loud and boisterous, and she doesn't care that she's a little bit more bestial, and she kind of just vibes with it. And if that's someone's problem, that's on them, that's not on her. Like, she is who she is.
I
there
love
anything
that a
else? Did I
lot.
miss anything?
Oh, sorry.
I said, was there anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, you didn't. And
Okay.
actually what I was going to say is that I think like alongside you, one of the people who you've been successfully flirting with, and we'll organize exactly how in just a moment, is this like very beautiful, quite tall woman. She has kind of light brown skin, very, very long silky black hair. It's woven about with like various kind of like jasmine flowers, and she's wearing this like emerald green sari with this kind of gold embroidering and like sequins and stuff. She's got this beautiful gold nose ring, and kind of this lovely kind of thick kind of kohl eyeliner, very brown eyes. And I think if it's okay with you, Anya, out of character, given what you've just said about kind of what Echo has been up to, I'm going to suggest that possibly you and this character Priya have had a kind of like, while we're on the road, we can have a bit of a thing, but then when we leave the caravan, you know, whatever, we'll just go back to our lives. It's a little bit of like, whilst we're on the cruise,
Absolutely.
like, hey, it's nice. Yeah, is that okay?
100%.
Okay, great. So in that case, she's kind of like walking along beside you, brushing your fingers as you walk, and it's that cute little like couples thing of occasionally hooking pinkies, and she'll like lean into you, bump your shoulder a bit. She's got like this kind of like quite ornate sword like slung at her hip, which is kind of occasionally revealed by the fabric of her sari. And she's just kind of chatting to you. She's telling you about her own kingdom. She comes from Midomus, which is it's the kind of the kingdom known for its nature. It's largely associated with the color green. A really cool thing about this whole zine setting, which you all might be noticing by this point, is that each of the kingdoms is associated with a color from the Gilbert Baker Pride flag. And yeah, so Priya is just kind of smiling at you, chatting, like discussing a little bit of like her own travels before she got to this caravan. And as you lean in and do something particularly cute, she smiles and the corners of her eyes crinkle, and she just leans in and gives you a little kiss on the cheek, and then kind of like brushes away again.
Before she brushes away, I just immediately turn my face so that it's a full kiss on the lips, not a kiss on the cheek.
I love that. And I think probably in response to that, like she laughs against your lips and then kind of like catches your face and deepens the kiss for a moment and kind of like scratches the back of your head and then lets go with this like lingering kind of stroke down the back of your neck. And it's very affectionate, like almost kind of slightly petting you as she kind of lets go. So, and in fact, you know, I'll just say you can have a string on Priya because of your liaisons during the caravan. Perhaps that will be useful for you later. Okay. So we have our various and sundry travelers. We have Firen, who seems to have definitely some position of royalty given all of the retainers that are following them around, but also seems to be a bit of a scoundrel considering the way that she is interacting with everyone. We have got Elle, who definitely has a strong relationship with nature, given the way that they have been interacting with the animals on the caravan and reacting to the various sights. They also have an African grey parrot. Now, what I know about African grey parrots is that they are extremely possessive and imprint on one person and don't really like other people coming close. So I'm interested to see how that manifests across the course of the game. We have got Ash, and she is probably one of the most popular people in the caravan, because like there's people here who are flirting more than Ash is, but Ash is making the smell of fresh baked bread like continuously, and I think that just means whether or not people are romantically interested in Ash, just platonically, like absolutely they are the most popular person in this caravan. We have got Hector and his sort of dark purpose, bright purpose. I don't want to call it dark because it's fundamentally for the forces of good, and yet there is certainly a goth vibe to this person. So we've got Hector and Hector's various Tristan's various machinations. I think I went with Hector because it's a very lovely medieval name itself.
It
is.
It
Tristan.
truly is. I think Tristan is old. It's classic Arthurian.
Obviously, yeah, no, yeah. Although hopefully you will do better than Tristan did in that story.
Better.
I believe in you. You know what? You're gonna fix it by avoiding the heteronormativity. Anyway, sorry, we're on stream. I have ADHD. And finally we have Anya. Anya, who is sorry. Yeah, Echo. You're right, Echo. Oh dear. Echo, who is visibly strange, but does not really seem to mind that. However, as we get into Bellamaro and as we get closer to Bellamaro, more and more people are giving Echo weird looks. More and more people are kind of backing off. More and more people are scowling, turning away, whispering, generally not reacting well to Echo's just visible presence. The rest of you, they're like polite. You are mostly foreigners with the exception of Tristan. But like, you know, they are being normal about it. With Echo specifically, people seem almost disgusted, certainly confused, and uncomfortable. And that is becoming clearer and clearer. In fact, not only is that affecting the way that they're interacting with Echo, as you get into the busier streets and you start joining other travelers who are heading towards the tourney grounds, Priya next to Echo is also receiving like a very wide berth as people look at Priya as someone who is doing something strange for being so obviously associated with Echo and obviously affectionate with Echo.
Something important that I forgot to mention, Echo has, I always forget the name of it, but she has one purple eye and one blue eye.
Heterochromia. It is also what Arian has.
Yeah, Arian also has it. And the second Arian notices that Echo is getting weird looks, they immediately stick as close to Echo as possible and constantly tell her like all of the little things that they're seeing. They point out all the little flowers and all the animals, and a couple of times they compliment her eyes or her ears and how cool they look.
I think a couple of times, this is also an opportunity to describe Tristan's horse. Tristan will as the looks come, will start to like strategically pull up in between these people giving dirty looks on his massive, gorgeous midnight black stallion with silver hair, and eyes that look like they have storms in them. As there's all kinds of legends about the midnight storm, which is his steed that he inherited from his mother. There's all kinds of legends that the horse is partially of the Fae. And another rumor says that it's one of the descendants of the ancient horse god of the Old Kingdom. There's all kinds of things, but this horse is obviously of a scary supernatural but beautiful nature, and he will ride up with his horse and he will just look at them in the shadows where they can recognize the eyes, and he's going to just shake his head and then occasionally go,
and I mean, people, yeah, like react. It's interesting, I think, because people are definitely intimidated. But the people of Bellamaro are just people. These are civilians. These
Yeah.
are poor working people. These are people who are
Yeah.
reacting because they're seeing something they've never seen before, but they
Yeah.
are not attacking. And they seem very frightened of you because you're the prince of the kingdom and your mother is not kind. And in this moment, you are intimidating them. So people flinch back. People get pale. People look scared.
Yeah.
People push their children behind them.
Yeah.
People don't really know how to react. They definitely stop looking at Echo strangely because they are looking at the ground. As we get closer to the tourney grounds. Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, I think with that, Jiren will break away and will try to ride up to Tristan and will say, at least let me do this. It's business. And will pull up and look at Tristan and just say, winning hearts and minds, are we?
I'm not going to let them treat Echo like a non-person, as if that's what you mean. But perhaps you're right. I don't know. Old habits, I guess.
I'm not saying you can't do what you do. I'm saying be a little more or be a little less about it.
All right. All right. And I'm going to just sort of look at Farron with this sort of sense of like mournful, like sad boy waves, and I would like to entice them.
Oh, cool. I love that. Please give me a
All
roll.
right.
Okay. We'll start with what we're not. Oh, I'm so
This is-
terrible
I
at
love
this.
this. You're
I rolled.
basically rolling to Zuko. Sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
so I rolled a 4, but may I spend one of the, oh no, I don't think Farron, may I spend one of the strengths that I have on Farron to give me a +3, or do I need to declare that before?
You can I'm gonna say that this time I'm gonna say let's go with the fail because I think it's interesting to at least in the early game have the complication of like things not quite going the way we want them to. And as we get closer towards the end, we'll give ourselves more of those resources if that's okay with you.
Oh no, 100%. So I rolled a 4. I'm gonna mark my XP.
Yeah, please do. Make sure you will get 3 XP to get it in advance. So remember that. Okay, so how does that for resolve? Like, we know that Tristan kind of looks dramatically in all Zuko, angsty boy, gorgeous with the wavy hair at Firen, but something about the situation, the scenario, it just really doesn't entice Firen in the way that maybe would have been better for Tristan. So how does that unfold?
I think Farron just like clearly sees the like angsty sad boy eyes and is just like, you know, those don't work on me. And is just going to sort of pull on the reins and like slow the horse down so that she drifts back behind Tristan.
Oh, just sort of slinks deeper into like, and just sort of continues to lead the caravan forward.
Irene turns to Echo with this big ol' smile. Wow, they seem like really good friends.
Echo kind of just like crosses her arms over the oh god, the word is escaping me. The saddle horn. Just kind of like leans down and is just like, I don't know if I would call it that necessarily, but you never know, things might change.
I think
Priya
it's good for
chips in.
Tristan.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's good for
Priya
Tristan
probably
to have...
just. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you go.
I think it's good for Tristan to have friends. He seems very sad.
But in a way that it almost feels like he's putting it on himself.
I think
That's the
he
kind of
carries-
vibe that I'm getting here.
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt there for things that aren't necessarily his fault. I mean, he didn't create the institution.
Certainly true.
Irene is saying this in full earshot of Tristan.
Oh.
So Ash,
I just don't even know what Tristan. He's just. You know what? I'm just gonna be messy. I'm just gonna be like, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You completely get me. And I just
Oh.
like look. I mean, unlike some people who feel the need to go back to their fan club, as I like use fight with my words, like friendly fight, well, not friendly, but like shady fight to Firen, and may I use my wit instead of daring, since I'm trying to be shady?
Yeah.
And
I would
I'm
say that you're
taking a
definitely.
penalty. I have lower wit than I do.
No, and I think there's definitely wit is applying in this situation. So for sure, give me a roll.
Okay, cool. Oh, thank goodness. A 6 and a 5, plus 1 wit is 12. So
Ooh.
I do it with
so-
style.
I mean, there's kind of an element here which is tricky, which is that we're trying to avoid PvP in the stream, but you are
Oh,
applying
yeah.
conditions to another player character.
Whoops,
So
sorry.
I think maybe what I'll suggest is that we modify these rules,
All good.
and say that you can either distract Irene, or gain a string on them somehow. So maybe the string that you're gaining is I mean, but the whole thing is maybe the string you're gaining is that they, and Elle, tell me how you feel about this. Maybe the string that you gain is that Irene sees that Tristan is lashing out because he is embarrassed, and Irene pities them. And so Tristan gets a string on Irene because Irene is like, "Oh, little puppy."
Yeah,
And there's just a bit
perfect.
of a like.
Irene definitely has a lot of pity for Tristan and his whole deal. So I think that
Yes.
definitely makes sense.
That sounds perfect.
Cool. So Tristan knows that the next time they try and use puppy dog eyes on Irene, it will definitely work. But Firen, it's a little bit of you can't play a player. It's definitely harder to do with Firen. Okay, so with these various shenanigans occurring,
I think
sorry.
Robin wanted to say something actually.
oh,
Yes, I was actually about to ask Robin.
I was thinking that Ash might actually give Tristan just a piece of bread, freshly baked bread. Even though I don't really want people to taste like unfinished recipes, but I was like, I saw that rejection and I'm like, for the sting of rejection, I'm sorry. And so give him a piece. It's
Thank
not a
you.
finished recipe, but I thought you could have a taste. Let me know how it is.
Appreciate it. And I just sort of take a deep bite of it, and just really, oh, this is very, 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 very good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm just like,
Thank you.
Okay, well, this saves me asking Robin what Ash was doing. So gorgeous. I love this. I love that Tristan tried really hard to be cool, and what happened was everyone in the caravan was like, "Oh, you're so pathetic," and then variously reacted. But hey, like after a fashion, it worked. So you finally come up on the tourney grounds. As you come into the tourney grounds, you know, there's way more people. Various travelers on the road, kind of a congregating together into a river of people, of colors and fabrics and smells and kind of people shouting. There's a lot of noise, a real ocean of noise washing over you. Echo, you stopped drawing as much attention, mostly just because there's so many people. It's really hard for people to pay that much attention to you. And also, now we're at the tourney ground. There are people wearing all kinds of outfits, big hats, headbands, hairpieces. And it's a little bit harder for people to immediately notice how strange you look from a distance, at least. I will say Tristan, I think, doesn't stop getting noticed because Tristan is like the prince. So there's definitely a thing of like Tristan, wherever Tristan goes, there's just this kind of ripple of like various kind of gossiping and murmuring, and there's just like this little bubble of darkness and shadow and gothness surrounding Tristan as Tristan moves through the crowd. And it's a similar effect happening with Firen. I mean, with Firen, not everyone in Bellamaro immediately recognizes them, but her attendants are definitely kind of like creating a space for her and a sense of importance for her as she kind of rides along. So she is similarly not getting like jostled and bumped and things like that. Ash and Irene, as people like kind of on the ground, you're definitely like in the crush of the crowd. And Echo, like you're at least on a horse, but your horse is kind of getting bumped to and fro. And luckily it's a very well-behaved horse, so it's not freaking out or anything. But you know, there's just a lot of people. Occasionally a small child will like grab the horse's mane and the horse will be like, "What's happening?" But everything is fine. You were all kind of guided through the sheer mass of people into the tourney grounds, and the tourney grounds themselves are basically wooden medieval football stadium. There are lots of things going on. It's more of a kind of festival campus essentially. So there's like the main stadium where we've got the jousting happening, but there are different areas for the dueling. The stadium will also be used for the brawl because it's a very big group activity that's going to involve like multiple people. There's a different field for the archery contest where targets have already been set up and a few people are kind of heading across. And there are tents, which you can hear kind of laughter and music coming from. You can also smell like frying goods, meat, baking pastries. Ash, you immediately notice a couple of smells of like pastry and breads that you haven't quite smelled in this variation before. And it's immediately like, ooh, new information. There's a lot to take in. But where you are all immediately brought is to the main tourney grounds where everyone is going for the start of the festival. Because at the start of the festival, the Queen herself will be having a small speech just to kind of welcome everyone here and to show everyone the various prizes which are on display and which will be the result of like winning the various different events at the tourney. So you kind of make your way in, and as you make your way in, you see the Queen sitting in her box, surrounded by her attendants and her guards. Tristan, is there any particular way you are looking or not looking at your mother?
I would say, man, I'm trying to think like, oh, I've been waiting for this moment. I am one of the things I'd like to do as we're entering the tourney grounds and it's so crowded, is to take the cloak off, and to just sort of and flip it around, so that you can see the heraldry of the kingdom. Like, and the thing about it is the cloak. Well, remember how it was ash gray on the inside? When it flips to the other side, it's midnight black. But the stitching of the heraldry has been, someone has literally taken thread of silver and like stitched it on to the back. But you can see like that it's been modified by some weavers from, what was it? The Green Kingdom that's famous for the
Midomis.
textiles. Medomus, you can definitely tell that there are some multicolored Medomus threading that has been added that causes the silver thread to reflect like as like a rainbow sheen when it moves in the sunlight. When before it just reflected like white. And he just does that as a means of like, and then he reaches down to, and I believe, Arian, you're walking, right? You don't
Yes,
have a
Irene
horse?
is walking.
I reach down a hand and just sort of like nod and offer to like pull them and then also Ash as well, since they're walking, onto the back of my horse, of my stallion. Hopefully there's enough space for all three of us because it's a huge war horse.
It is. You established it was a big horse. Do Irene and Ash take Tristan's hand?
Yeah.
So if it is all right with Robin, I will say that Irene has been holding Ash's hand this whole time, the second that they got into like a larger
Aw.
crowded space.
Yeah, I'm
And
okay with that.
as
Oh.
Tristan reaches the hand down, Irene looks up at them, looks over to Ash, and tilts their head a little bit. And I think that Ash and Irene have known each other long enough that Ash knows this means wherever you go, I'm gonna go too.
I guess what is Tristan wanting to like? Why is he doing this?
Tristan's doing this because he wants to part the crowd so that you can come in. He wants to make it to his mother in solid with Aaron. Aaron's people have suffered and all of what your people have suffered. I'm trying to kind of set up emotional support for particularly Aaron, but doesn't want to exclude Ash because Ash has also been walking and it's a big, huge crowd. And I just sort of want to part the sea so that I can give the look to my mother.
Okay, yeah, I think Ash would be fine with getting on the horse because it's so crowded and like she wants just more room to breathe and bake.
All right. Once Ash gets on the horse, Irene will get on the horse as well.
Right. May I roll emotional support, Ella?
Yeah,
For
sure.
Irene? Okay, excellent. All right,
I'm
so
very amused by this visual, by the way.
you know what? I got a 6.
Okay, so yes, with 3 people on the horse, it's not a comfortable fit. You are all on the horse. It is not easy to all be on the horse. It's a big horse. Have you ever tried putting 3 people on a horse? It's not easy, especially
It's not
adults.
good. It's not cool. No.
It doesn't go simply.
Oh.
So we're gonna say that for now, the emotional support role, I'm just gonna rule that it's kind of negated, Hector. But you can take the XP. And it maybe doesn't necessarily like kind of there's the emotional support of like not being in the crowd anymore, but then there's the drawback of being like incredibly uncomfortable, kind of slightly sitting on a horse's neck / shoulders, and it kind of draws out at a net 0. But you are now on the horse, and certainly in terms of the Queen's reaction, she will notice her only son sitting on a horse with 2 people from other kingdoms, specifically kingdoms that she does not think well of. So you all kind of continue into the tourney grounds. I'm interested, just before you can see that the Queen is next to her, there is this kind of very svelte man. He's kind of slender, very handsome, cut like a knife. And he's got this kind of sharp gray hair, very clever, piercing kind of gray blue eyes. And he is wearing this like doublet, this waistcoat, this very sharp outfit of black and silver thread. And he looks like he is about to start speaking on the Queen's behalf. Sort of a master of ceremonies type figure, you would guess. Tristan would know who this is. It is the Queen's right hand, Chancellor Godfrey Crow, Chancellor Crow. And he has known the Queen since she was a child. And she has kept him in a sort of ceremonial position, despite the fact that he is very blunt and not well liked in the court. But before that, Ulrich, yes, Hector.
No, I just want to activate my Wicked Past playbook move.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear about a villain for the first time, you may decide you know them from your past, which you already confirmed for me, but If so, give them a string on you and ask a question from the figure out a person list and take one forward against them. So I would like to give them a string.
Nice.
And I want to ask a question. And what's great about this is that I have another playbook move called Your Wicked Heart. When you figure out a person, oh no, we're not doing a physical conflict. Never mind. I'll save that for later. I am going to ask them how would you feel if I turned on my mother?
Oh.
Of all of the times that I've known them, like what,
What you know about Godfrey is he is the only constant thing about him is his inconstancy. He will do anything necessary to be with whoever has the most power. So if you turned on your mother and it looked like you were going to lose, he would not support you. But if you turned on your mother and it looked like you were going to win, well, hell, sure, he'll hold the knife himself. He is a very fickle man. He is someone who has had various relationships with various people at the court, primarily men. But unfortunately and tragically, he has never defended those lovers when times have come for them to be judged or questioned. He has always thrown them to the wolves. There is a rumor in the court that his heart was eaten by a wolf long ago, and it has never beaten since. Okay. So as we come up, I would really like to know what Firen and Echo are doing. Firen in particular, because of this like whole political situation of just your arrival here as someone who is of royal blood. Like even your arrival is a thing that we need to take note of.
I think Firen is not doing the they're not doing the like preening, they're not doing any like stuff that would be expected, like courtly behaviors. They're not like waving or welcoming. They do ride up, they sort of break away again from the attendants and ride up to Echo and will say, since Tristan is busy fitting 30 people on a horse, Firen will say to Echo, "That's the queen then."
Yeah. She's an interesting one, isn't she?
Tristan never told me she was hot.
I mean, if you want to go for that, good luck. Not really
I'm
my
not
type,
saying
but
definitely, but
certainly be interesting.
by the way, how would you feel about what are you planning to do at the tournament?
Well, I gotta show off, don't I?
That's
Got my
true.
sword, got my skills. Why not?
I was wondering if you'd want to get in on something that me and Tristan are planning.
Oh, tell me more. I'm all about it.
So these and they gesture back at the attendants. They're not here making sure that I comport myself correctly or do anything like that. I think it's a little late for that. They're making sure that I don't run off before doing a certain job.
Oh, do tell.
Uh The queen has something, and I would like the queen to not have that thing anymore. How do you feel about a heist?
Oh, please. I would love to rip something out of her grubby little hands.
Well then, I'll let Tristan know I can count on you.
Please do.
Speaking of which, as you kind of come to the end of this conversation, at last, Councillor Crow steps up and starts speaking. Welcome, attendees, to this tournament of wonders in beautiful Bellamaro under our gracious Queen Velda, the greatest queen who ever lived in any kingdom in all of time, the only true queen decided by the various gods above. Welcome, welcome to our blessed land. Welcome, welcome to our kingdom of magic and treasure and delight. We are so pleased to have you here and to show you the might of the Queen's champions. And as he says that, like 7 people uniformed in different outfits who all are actually from each of your kingdoms and therefore kind of color themed step forward. They have different kinds of armor, but they are clearly chosen by and working for the Queen, at least right now. The Queen herself in a corset and kind of large skirt is she looks a little like Emma Thompson. She's kind of got this like flowing curly hair, couple wrinkles, but kind of this mature kind of MILF thing going on. And she is just kind of looking on coolly as kind of the various discussions occur. Councillor Crow Godfrey gestures to an attendant who sort of flinches a bit and kind of runs off, grabs something, comes back. And a queue of attendants start coming up with various sort of boxes and items. The crowd kind of gets quiet as they bring these things forward. The councillor says, "These are the treasures on offer. These are the prizes that Bellamaro is graciously offering to our neighbors and, of course, all of the kingdoms already sheltered within the Queen's righteous hands. These are what you might hope to win if you can defeat one of her most noble champions. Though do not fear, friends, because if the champions win them, they will, of course, remain in the safekeeping of beautiful Bellamaro. First, of course, we have the Everlily." And as he says it, he opens a wooden box. And Irene, you recognize something that you didn't think existed anymore. This is an orange lily the size of someone's head, and it is made of fire. It is made of an ever-burning, continuous, impossible, magical fire that glitters with iridescence. It is so incredibly beautiful and so bright that looking at it makes your eyes water. The Everlily was believed to be extinct. No one on the Camaltho Isles thought that it was even still alive anymore. And as you look at it, this impossible thing flickering and sending shadows kind of falling across the face of the councillor, he says, "Bellamaran explorers bravely delved into the wilds of the Camaltho Isles, discovered and rescued this incredibly precious species from the dangers of poachers in its homeland. In order to protect it, we have taken it here to Bellamaro, but the winner of the joust will have the honor of its safekeeping if they should prove their prowess." And he kind of gestures the attendants to move on. The next thing he pulls out is a sword. A beautiful sword. It's got golden kind of embroidery, like engraving on the tongue, and a red, beautiful hilt and various rubies in the hilt. And as he tilts it, the rubies flash as if they're on fire, and they cast kind of bloody light across the sand of the tawny grounds. This time, Echo, you recognize it. Because this is the Crimson Tongue. This is like an incredibly famous sword. Apparently, this sword belonged to one of Romania's greatest heroes, a pirate known as the Red Heart. The Red Heart was someone who fought for the freedom of the people in your city-state, who led a revolution against a tyrannical dictator, and won it. And this sword, like, was the sword that people saw. And when they saw that flash of red light, they knew that there was hope and courage in their hearts, and they were able to move on. And the councillor says, Bellamara recently salvaged this priceless artifact, which we believe to be the Crimson Tongue itself, from a shipwreck in waters off the Romanian coasts on our borders. We are so proud to have found this sacred object, and it is the prize for the jewels for anyone who can prove their sword-fighting prowess. Next up, see a small box. Now this time, it's kind of hard at first to see what the big deal is. It's this silver little casket, pretty small. And he opens it and just kind of takes a pinch of some kind of sandy substance and lets it drift on the wind. And as it does, it turns into this sort of smoky mist that is lovely, kind of bright yellow. This is fire dust. And as he says it, by this point, somehow, impossibly, the taste, the concentrated flavor of whatever this spice is such that all of you, even from this distance, even from hundreds of meters away, taste this spicy, sweet, mouth-watering flavor that you have never tasted before in your life, drifting into your mouths, over your tongues, up into your noses. You feel the sudden warmth spreading through you. It is such a good feeling. He says, this rare spice, which gained its name for its spicy sweet taste and flame red color, something you recognize, Ash. No one's been able to buy it. No one sells it. It's not possible. Counselor goes on. Bellamara recently is very proud to have negotiated the only trade deal on the continent for this most wondrous of spices, and the winner of the brawl will get this, a prince's sum of it, for whichever culinary endeavors they wish to pursue. And finally, the last attendant comes forward. Another box is opened. This time, it's sort of like the Koh-i-Noor diamond. It's massive. It's beautiful. It's this huge gemstone, but it's not transparent. Instead, it casts this just explosion of rainbows out across the whole tourney ground. The sun catches it, and just various kind of rainbows hit the crowd. People gasp, people cry out, people laugh, people are delighted. Children try to catch the light with their hands. This beautiful just explosion of incandescent light coming from this thing that seems to have a heartbeat, like dun-dun, dun-dun. It seems to almost be pulsing. It seems to be alive. Now, Firen, you recognize this. This is the Rainbow Stone. This is an object of immense magical power. This is believed to be, by some people, to be the heart or the soul of the Magayan Republic, something that powers the magic that is so fundamental to so many machines and mechanisms in your kingdom. Machines and mechanisms which have, of late, been faltering and failing because people feel like something is happening to the magic. It is running dry. It is being poisoned. Counselor holds up the stone, this beautiful thing. It says, this was rescued by brave Bellamaran soldiers during the recent fighting in the Magayan borders, and we are so proud to be custodians of the Rainbow Stone. Now, of course, we could not part with this for simply anyone, so the winner of the tournament entire shall receive this priceless prize, a result only of the generosity of our beautiful Queen Velda. And he kind of very ceremoniously puts it away. He steps back, and the Queen steps forward. She looks up at kind of the crowd, her admirers. People are already screaming her name. She waits for them to fall silent.
Irene very loudly boos her.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I mean, she just kind of smirks. Immediately a squadron of fully armored knights head towards you. And Tristan, they see that Irene is with you. However, this would not be the first time that you had encountered trouble with your mother's knights. You are very aware that they will not hesitate to put you in a dungeon. There is about 35 of them. They have a lot of armor and a lot of weapons.
Okay. I am going to Arian booed. I am going to throw off my hood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, do we have a problem, gentlemen?
Big gasp. The soldiers say, no problem, Your Highness, if you'll let that one come with us.
Oh, my goodness. That's why.
Because they are disturbing the tourney grounds, they're committing treason, and it's either that or we start a fight right here, Your Highness. But I imagine that wouldn't look good for either of us.
Are you not aware that that's a traditional greeting of my homeland? I thought that you admired diversity. I mean, you have all of these relics. Don't you value other people?
What I want you to do, Elle, is your choice of, well, no, actually, I think it makes most sense here. You can either fight or defy disaster. If you are trying to make the problem stop, you're defying disaster. If you are trying to make the problem continue, you are fighting. Which one would you like to do?
I am trying to defy disaster because there's no way that we can fight 35 of these people.
No.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Give me a roll, please.
I'm very good, but I'm not that good.
Yeah, Irian is fully bluffing the fact that this is like a traditional homeland thing. So I would assume that that is that would be either charm or cleverness, so heart or wit.
Yeah. And given that you are trying to claim that it's of your homeland, I would say it's either. You can say try and convey a sense of culture by appealing to like the person's emotional sense of like, well, don't you have things in your homeland that you do differently? Or it can be a wit of like thinking on your feet. So you're welcome to pick which one you prefer.
I'm gonna do a wit because I have a higher one in that, and that is gonna be a 12.
Nice. Okay. Do it with style. At the GM's discretion, you may also learn new information, discover a new opportunity, or gain a string on someone. Oh, I know what's gonna happen. Cool. So you say, oh no, this is a tradition in the Camaltho Isles. Is there anything else you want to say?
And then Irian looks straight at the queen. Big old doe eyes. I mean, you have all of these relics, don't you? That must mean that you respect different cultures. It would be a social faux pas if you did not, wouldn't it? You would not be the kind queen that everyone thinks you are, that all these people are cheering for. You would not want to be unworthy of their praise, would you, my lady?
Well, so I should clarify. I don't think you're quite close enough to be having personal conversation with the queen.
Irian
Too
shouts
far
this.
away.
Irian
Oh, okay,
shouts
all right.
this.
Okay,
Everybody hears it.
Yeah, okay. If you're shouting it, that's fine. So I think like you say that, and like at this point, you know, there are a couple thousand people here. There is an army here. You are in the capital city of this person. So I think, but you also got a 12. And you are with your lovely nature witchy, doe-eyed, apparent innocence, definitely letting a lot of the trouble roll off your back. I think that the way that this resolves, the queen doesn't look at you. This is not the way to make the queen like you or consider you, and she is
No.
smart enough
I
to know what
know.
you're doing. But the guard in front of you, you notice that this guard has a little bit of orange fabric underneath his armor. You just notice like an orange string of thread. And when you start saying the thing about the Camaltho Isles, his expression softens a little bit. And you notice that, like, you know, behind his helmet, his eyes are like genuinely quite kind. And you kind of realize on scrolling back in the immediate moment in the kind of the sort of slow, like that kind of adrenaline fueled reviewing of what's just happened when you're in a difficult situation, that he did have like a little bit of an accent that you recognized when he spoke. And you realize that this is someone who is from the Camaltho Isles who's emigrated here. And as you kind of say your thing about traditions, you can see he knows you're lying. And he also knows that you are trying to get out of it. So you can get one string on him. His name is Owen. And what he is going to do as you kind of make your little speech is like the queen doesn't look at you, the queen doesn't care. But he's going to very gently just kind of put his hand towards you and say, I just really like it if you could please step aside because I really don't want to have to arrest you.
I mean, I'm on a horse, so do I get off of the horse?
Owen.
If that'd be all right, or if the prince wants to come with us, that's fine. Either, whichever you prefer.
Owen, I will accompany you. We will handle this matter. I look over at Firin, and I say, Your Highness, can I trust you to care for Ash and Echo while we are handling this matter?
Of course. And then just mouths like You got yourself arrested?
And then I get off of the horse and I help Aaron down, and proceed to walk. I leave Ash and I whisper to Midnight, take care of Ash.
As they leave, Irene grabs Ash's hand, gives a little squeeze. Hey, you're gonna be okay, right?
I'm just about to ask you that. Are you gonna be all right?
I'll manage, you know. There are always new ways to grow, and these people think that they can weed me out as easily as some other things. They've got another thing coming. Besides, I gotta stick around for you. Who else would try your bread?
Well, everyone
I'll
else,
try the
but
bread.
I
I
understand.
would. I would. Aaron, we have to go.
Yeah, but they don't know just how good it is. And Irene will go.
Hold on, I want to use my move Sunhand Baking and bake something for you because my bread can do like crazy things. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna use heavy crumbs. So I'm gonna break a bread that tastes familiar and comforting, and you become deeply sleepy after eating. And I'll slip it to you. And I think you know what this is. I've given you this before to use on people. So I'm like, just in case.
Irene just gives a little nod, mouths a thank you, and will go off with Tristan and the guard.
Oh wait, I have to roll for that. Sorry.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, awesome. I got a 9. So that means I can choose one bread and I can't make that bread again this session. So I'll give it to you, but I can't make another one. Cool.
All
Of
right.
that same kind.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I really like the Sunhand. I think it's really cool. I'm really glad you're playing this character. Anyway, okay, cool. So Irene and Tristan kind of are led very, very gently out of the grounds by Owen, this guard, who says something to the other guards, and they definitely look confused, annoyed, this isn't procedure about it. It's a kind of a whole mime in armor situation going on. So you just see various kind of like clank, 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 clank. But you don't really hear the conversation. And then eventually something happens, clank. And the rest of the guards kind of wander off whilst Owen takes you two in another direction. The queen frowns a bit at that, but doesn't react. She's in front of a couple thousand people. So she instead kind of looks on the rest of her audience and says, kind of very calmly and very quietly, thank you for coming. It has not been easy inheriting a throne at the age that I did. And all that I have ever done and all that I have ever hoped to do is to make Bellamaro and my father proud, to keep you all safe, and to do everything I can to make sure that our bellies are always full, our fires are always stocked with firewood, our roofs hold back the storm, and that we never live in fear of invaders or monsters or disasters, and that we know that if those things do occur, then we will weather them. A tournament like this feels frivolous, but I think that it is important to celebrate the moments of stability and peace that we do have. To celebrate the moments when we know that at least for a day or two, we can relax and dance and enjoy the rewards of our labor. So thank you all for coming here to dance and smile with me and enjoy the wealth of this most beautiful of kingdoms. And she kind of smiles, steps back, sits down. The crowd goes wild. She is very popular within Bellamaro. And you are all kind of swept away. Now we're coming up towards our break. But just before we get there, there's two things I want to know. First of all, Firen, Echo, we haven't heard from you in a little bit. I'd love to know kind of what you're doing and what you're saying as you leave the tourney grounds and kind of swept out. There's various events. There's the food tent. Some people are going to get food. Some people are going to get alcohol. Some people are going to watch some of the early events, buy merchandise. There are various kind of like sort of, I was going to say badges, and I'm worried people will think pin badges, sort of brass pins and things, pilgrims pins and stuff like that people can kind of get for visiting Bellamaro, icons of the city. Yeah, what are Firen and Echo doing?
So Firen just like pinches her toes and is just like, all right, so currently I'm in charge. Echo,
Good luck.
you're my second in command because you're the only other person here who knows what's going on.
Okay.
And so I guess, well, I only knew about the stone, but I'm making an executive decision to steal all of these things.
Yeah, that ship that went down definitely did not go down easily, and not without a little bit of help from a certain kingdom. So I'm all for it.
Ash.
Oh yeah, Ash, you can go.
Oh, yeah, I think Ash overhears you guys talking. And she's just like, I'm in. I was gonna compete fairly for the fire dust, but after they arrested Tristan and Irian, like, let's steal all of it.
Oh no.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
We do
And Echo
have
absolutely has like some kind of drink, and she's just swigging from it.
already. Oh, okay. We do have one other problem slash opportunity. One of the
Opportunity.
Queen's champions is my ex. And I am going to use my move one in every port.
Yeah. This is such a clutch use of that move. Continue.
So do the Queen's champions have names?
Oh
as
yeah,
of
I
yet?
know all of the Queen's champions. Again, we are using JC Darcy's Pride
Right.
Zine TSL Knight's Tale tournament inspired supplement. That is, we're currently doing a giveaway for it. So if you're enjoying this nonsense, then you could do your own cool nonsense at home by entering that giveaway by going !TSL in the chat to get that zine. I love it. I think it's really cool. Play Rainbow Kingdom quiz, taking on oppression and expansionism. It's wonderful. This is how we defeat imperialism, by being really gay about it. Anyway,
100%.
end of plug. Tell me what you're doing, Aaron.
Yeah, so I can name a person with whom I shared intimacy with and say how you left things. I would say, just based on who Firen is as a person, Bradley and they stole from I don't whichever one of the champions you think would make sense.
Okay, so relationship ended badly and Firen stole from them. Is that what you're telling me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And does Firen have a preference on the gender representation of their paramours?
I'd say not a huge preference. No.
Okay, cool. All right. In that case, I'm gonna say that it was the Gloaming Prince. So the Gloaming Prince is champion of the non-standard duel, wields a vicious black mace. I think the reason this happened is because the Gloaming Prince is also famously extremely beautiful. The Gloaming Prince uses he, she, they pronouns. She has long red hair, a little beauty spot on their cheek. They have these like very strong arms. They generally kind of saunter places. They're a little haughty, very cold. They've got this real kind of mystery vibe going on. They're easily 6'3". And he's just got this kind of like real sense of beauty to him. Like he's got these just like lovely locks, long eyelashes, very piercing green eyes. And he does a lot of, long legs, nice thighs. It's a whole thing. People don't normally mess with this person. They are the gloaming prince. Thurin, however, not only successfully seduced her, but also robbed him in the morning. So, yeah, they're maybe not your biggest fan.
Maybe we can spin this. And yes, I also mark XP for that.
Heck yeah. All right. Cool. So as you wander out with this plan to take part in the various heists, you can see the start of various events. You can see kind of hopefuls of all ages and genders and presentations heading in different directions. You see a fat black woman with 2 swords strapped to her back heading towards one of the dueling areas. She looks like she knows what she's doing. You see a skinny younger person with very long sort of white blonde braided hair and a bow and arrow strung over their back heading towards the archery field. And you also see the champions themselves dispersing. You see someone all in emerald green with a hood and a mask, whose face you cannot see. You see a woman who has very straight black hair and brown eyes, just really kind of grinning. She's got a bit of a cheeky grin on her. She's almost kind of bouncing. She's got extremely expensive and good looking armor, but she's kind of being very friendly. She's bouncing around, she's grabbing people, she's saying hi. You see this like just 8-foot wall of muscle in all like kind of like a very deep kind of purple, who has just a full-on warhammer on his back and is just striding through the crowd like a goddamn bulldozer. You see an older woman with like extremely short gray hair, a very butch woman, who again has a bow and arrow, and she's got kind of archery gloves on, and a falcon is following her. You see these kind of people disperse. You see the attendants and the guards picking up the treasures and taking them somewhere backstage, as it were. They are leaving the tourney grounds via a route only available to the queen and her retinue, into tents that presumably by the laws of geography will be somewhere in that direction. You cannot see Irene and Tristan, but I'm going to move to them now. Irene and Tristan. The guard, Owen, pulls you into a tent. And as you get into the tent, you see that no one is here. You can see kind of various like van braces and bits of armor kind of lying on the floor, and you get the sense that this is a place where people get changed. Like competitors with their attendants will step inside here to like move different pieces of armor for different events. There's a difference between what you're going to wear ceremonially at the kind of opening ceremonies and what you're going to use to actually hit people with. The guard kind of gets inside, pulls off his helmet. You immediately see that this is a man with kind of tanned skin, kind of dirty blonde, slightly messy hair, very blue-gray eyes, real kind of sharp kind of chin, bit of stubble on him, looks a little nervous about being here, tall, strong, and he looks at you both, and then he says, all right, okay, and he kind of glances outside at the various guards, makes sure that there's no one there watching or coming close, and then turns to you both, looks at Irene. Really sorry about that. Also, oh my goodness, you have a backbone for sure. I thought you were gonna die. But
I thought I was going to die too. I was very scared.
Arian, my mother is incredibly dangerous. We got lucky that it was Captain Owen that came up and not someone that is native to here. Do you understand? I'm here to help you. I cannot help you when you do things like that. And I'm gonna, with her consent, take her hands with this look of concern on my face. And I want to bring something up before we go to break. I got a third string on Arian earlier, which means I get a string advance because I had 2 before from our bond questions. And when you gain oh, excuse me, never mind. It's a 4th string. I apologize. Oh, I'm at the edge of a string advance. So we're like, I feel really close to Arian, and I'm just like, listen, Owen and I can cover it. I need to be able to compete. Now, I know that you have your own sword. I know that you were looking forward to competing, but I think the only way that I can continue to protect you is that if you are my consort.
Okay.
Let me win and crown you the monarch of love and beauty. Because I wish to respect your pronouns. But Owen, please back me up. You cannot straight up defy the queen publicly like that. I can do that. Or you should not. He said should not. Should I say should not?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but as GM, I'm going to pause this and just get Elle's input on how they feel about like the direction the scene is going and what they want to happen.
Yes.
I am good. I am all for like a fake relationship to not be executed.
Yeah.
That's very fun, and I am looking forward to the drama that it will cause with other characters, especially. I think that's going to be very fun. And I think it does make sense since Irene and Tristan are very close. Like, yeah. Tristan is probably one of the closest people to Irene outside of Ash.
Cool. Okay, then in that case, I think 2 things happen. First, when Tristan calls on Owen's perspective, I'm not even going to make you roll for this. Tristan immediately sees that Owen is feeling something very strongly that he is hiding. And you, Hector, Tristan takes 2 strings on Owen because he suddenly realizes in this moment that Owen has an unrequited love for Tristan and is heartbroken to see this happening. And yet at the same time feels very strongly that he needs to respect his prince's wishes because he will do whatever is necessary. And so he kind of nods very seriously despite the kind of sadness in his eyes and says, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think that's that's a really good idea. And yeah, Irene, yeah, you really need to be super careful. But don't worry. I mean I swear fealty to the true prince. And that fealty extends to you if you are his. So I'll protect you all my life. I'll protect you both.
I am going to ramp up the drama and declare myself smitten with Owen in this moment. And take his hand, and I'm going to say, you do not have to give me fealty. In the world that I want to build, no one will have to swear fealty again. Only fraternity, friendship, and love. And I take his hand and I kiss it, like the back of his hand. Actually, I'll gently take the gauntlet off first, and then I'll gently kiss his hand. Pledge my service and friendship to you.
I think, yeah, gosh. I think Owen, yeah, gets very pink in the cheek. And he kind of bows his head. He actually bows like from the waist, really, to kiss your hand in return. And when he stands up and straightens, he gives you this slightly crooked smile. And it's definitely like kind of confusion and still the kind of feeling of just like he doesn't know what he's feeling given what's kind of just been happening. But he looks at you and says, even a world where you are not forced to swear fealty, there are some people worth being loyal to. And I would really love to know how Irene is reacting to all of this happening very quickly.
This is all happening very quickly. Irene is mostly like very worried about Ash and what is happening with her, because something, like, in Irene's mind, there's nobody to have Ash's back now except for a horse, and while Irene respects horses very much, horses do not have opposable thumbs and cannot communicate with the general public. So Irene is
on Firan and Echo right there. Just like the horse, Firan and Echo just down here somewhere, like in level of competence and trusting with Ash's safety.
Irene doesn't even realize that Firan and Echo are in the equation.
I feel so hurt.
So Irene's worried about Ash. Irene is also worried about potentially being some sort of consort person. Irene is very confused about the direction that Tristan and Owen just took. And most of all, Irene is very, very angry at the Queen. Because the Queen has already taken so much, and now she is rubbing in everyone's face something that she took that she doesn't even understand the value of.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
So they turn and they look at Tristan, who's having this lovely moment. And Tristan, it is the first time you have ever seen Irene angry. And there is just this fire in their eyes, and their pupils are shrunk into slits. And they look right at you. This moment is very nice, and I understand that I have been impulsive, but you have to understand the damage that has been done, and the smugness, the smile that she has when she does this damage. She burns down my lands, and she laughs about it, and then she rubs my faces in the ashes.
I know. I understand. And with that fire, I'm going one way or another. We are going to get that flower. I'm going to do everything in my power to win it for you. And may I have your favor?
I mean, you already have it, but sure, you can have it again.
That I might wear while I am fighting.
Oh, yeah. And Irene takes out a little flower and weaves it into Tristan's hair.
Oh.
A little orange flower.
And I would like to I just want to offer emotional support to Arian, the favor, like that's like the flavor of it, but I want to, and there's just something like magical and smooth about, because I want to use spirit, right? I want to appeal, like, to the soul, because my heart is cold, but my soul is bright.
Give me a roll, please.
Yes. 9 plus 2 is 11.
Nice.
Amazing. So you each get something from this. Should Irene choose to accept the emotional support being offered?
Irene will accept it.
In that case, you both get something from this list. You either clear a condition, mark XP, get +1 forward, which means you add +1 to your dice rolls, or gain insight from the GM about an obstacle facing one of you. You each get one of the things on that list, or Tristan can choose to take a string on Irene instead of getting one of the things from that list.
All right, so I'm going to clear the angry condition that I had marked for Irene.
I was about to say, I assumed that you... I was It's actually going to apply the angry condition to a lot of you very shortly, but yes, take it and remove it.
All right, and then
Yes.
I am going to combine narrative and crunchy styles of play, and I will take a string, which will give me a string advance, which gives me 2 XP, and I get to you have profound insight and learn something about them even they don't know. The player tells you what you learn, possibly asking the GM for ideas. It's up to you whether you share that insight with the character or not. In addition, clear but all but one of your strings on them and gain 2 XP.
So, Elle, what does Tristan learn about Irene?
Oh, this is a good one. Irene was never upset with Tristan, and Irene never blamed Tristan. Tristan does not need Irene's forgiveness because he never had their anger.
I am having so many feelings right now, as it should be in Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Oh, okay, cool. Well, we are about to take our break. And just before we do, we're going to go on break for about 10-15 minutes. And then we'll come back to finish off this lovely game of Thirsty Sword Lesbians, in which I'm pretty sure our PCs are about to rob a queen. And that's going to be fun to watch whilst they also dodge their ex. I love this game. It's so silly. But just before we go, I'll leave you on this little cliffhanger, which is to pull back the curtain for you. As a GM, I am currently using a clock mechanic, a little bit like you see in Blades in the Dark. And every time certain things happen, I've been ticking up the clock. This particular clock has 3 segments, and what happens at the end of those 3 segments is that the Queen and her soldiers find our players, discover their plot, and take action against them. And I'm going to let you know just before we go into our break that the clock has been ticked up 2 times. So, time for a 10-15 minute break. We'll be back shortly. I am excited to see what happens. Thank you all very much for watching. See you in a bit. Hello again, and welcome back to Girls Run These Worlds. This is our stream of Thirsty Sword Lesbians / Advanced Lovers and Lesbians. We are doing a medieval fantasy Knight's Tale type tournament. It's based on a zine supplement written by our very own JC Darcy, which you can win today just by watching the stream. If you stick !TSL in the chat, then you are in with a chance of winning this fantastic zine, which is all about like a bunch of different people from kingdoms inspired by the colors of the Gilbert Baker Pride flag, getting together and trying to rebel against a terrible queen who's a bit of an imperialist so-and-so. So if you want that lovely gay fantasy of destroying the monarchy, you can get it in this zine, and I strongly recommend it. My name is Ella Watts, my pronouns are she, her. And I am playing with a wonderful group of people, just so that everyone remembers who we all are, because it's very important that they give us the attention we deserve. Let's just do a quick roll round to remind everyone of our names, our pronouns, and our characters' names and pronouns. Starting with Erin.
Oh, my name is Erin. My pronouns are she, her, and I am playing Firen, whose pronouns are she, they.
Awesome. Elle?
Hi, I am Elle. I use they, them, and I am playing Irene, who also uses they, them.
Gorgeous. Robin?
I'm Robin, use she, they pronouns, and I'm playing Ash, who also uses she, they pronouns.
Anya?
I'm Anya. I use she, her pronouns, and I am playing Echo, also she, her.
Finally, last but not least, Hector.
Hi, I'm Hector. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm playing Tristan, who also uses he, they pronouns.
So what happened in the first half of the stream was we met all of these lovely characters who are playing the various playbooks of both Thirsty Sword Lesbians and Advanced Lovers and Lesbians. But what's really important for you to know is that they are various citizens of different kingdoms outside of Bellamaro, with the exception of Hector's character Tristan, who is from this kind of expansionist, conquering, evil kingdom Bellamaro. However, Tristan, he's sort of turned over a new leaf, the black sheep of the family, one could say, because he's a good guy and he kind of wants to go in a good direction. they have decided to color themselves with a rainbow kind of coloring of all of the different kingdoms together. We rode up to the tournament and came in on the sort of opening speeches of the tournament from the Queen Velda, and her Councillor Godfrey Crow. And as part of their sort of opening speeches, they displayed the various prizes that were on offer. Prizes which are all extraordinarily rare and valuable, and just so happen to have been politely liberated from the kingdoms that our various player characters belong to, consensually or otherwise. After our players saw this display of wealth, power, and totally infuriating imperialism, one character in particular, the lovely Irene from the Camaltho Isles, decided to loudly boo the Queen in front of thousands of people and also her army. This led to a situation developing, which honestly Irene dealt with fantastically. They relied on Bellamaran ignorance to improvise that booing in Camaltho culture is actually a way to show your support for public figures, and earned a sympathizer in a guard called Owen, the captain of the guard. Owen, very flustered and hoping not to literally start a battle in the middle of the tourney ground in front of, again, thousands of people, convinced Tristan and Irene to let him take them to a secondary location where they could kind of sort things out a little bit. Meanwhile, Firan, leaving the tourney grounds after this display of treasures, had a little conversation with Echo, where Firan revealed that their attendants have been around her not because they're keeping an eye on her behavior, which they gave up on long ago. She is going to have relations with whoever she wants to have relations with, whenever she wants to, and however she wants to. However, they do want to make sure that Firan steals something important, something that we now know is the Rainbow Stone, an incredibly important magical artifact to the Magayan Republic, which is the place that Firan is a prince of, a girl prince of. Firan sort of proposed this heist to Echo, who enthusiastically agreed after pointing out that there was a ship that sank that was referred to in those speeches from her own city-state of Romania, and maybe that ship, didn't sink just of its own accord. Ships don't usually do that. Ash, who was with them, a little bit concerned about their friend Irene, who'd been taken in another direction, quite willingly agreed to help out on this heist, partly because of her concern about what was happening to Irene, considering that Irene just got arrested for booing. Freedom of speech? I don't know her in this medieval monarchy. Anyway, back in the tent, we had a sort of 3-gun quick draw of romantic declarations between Irene, Hector, and this captain of the guard, Owen, Tristan, as Tristan suggested to Irene, doing a kind of fake marriage consort thing in order to protect Irene and Irene's reputation. Irene was a little flustered and overcome by that, but then Tristan realized that by suggesting this in front of Owen, are you keeping up with me? Because there will be a test and I will ask you questions. Tristan said this in front of Owen, and Owen was a little bit heartbroken at seeing this, and Tristan realized in that moment that Owen all this time had been holding a candle for them. They had a tender moment where Tristan declared that he was smitten with Owen, though we did skip answering the truths of Heart and Blade, which we will need to do. But Owen kind of reciprocated in some way, and Irene was slightly overwhelmed by a lot of information happening at once, but mostly just angry, because one of the treasures on display was the Everlily, an incredibly priceless and important, very, very rare, endangered flower from their home island that had been stolen by Bellamaran explorers and was now being offered as a treasure. The last things that we saw just before the stream ended, the first half of the stream ended, were first, that Tristan got a string advance on Irene, which meant that Tristan learned something about Irene that Irene might not even know about themselves. And what we learned from Elle is that Irene has never really been angry at Tristan. They've never blamed Tristan specifically for all of this. They are angry with Bellamaro, but they do not consider Tristan to be guilty of Bellamaro's actions. And the last thing we learned was a little tidbit from me that we are working on a Blades in the Dark style clock, which has 3 segments. And when the 3rd segment ticks, the queen and her guards will find our players and try to stop them in whatever means they can. And what I revealed was that before the first half of the stream ended, we had ticked up 2 times because we may or may not have drawn a lot of attention to ourselves. Speaking of,
Oops.
we're now going to come back.
Sorry about that.
Please regret nothing. It was iconic and it was beautiful. And there were several moments, including there was a bit where you just did full on nature witch loveliness, but also just kind of like, who, me? No. I would have felt that was just perfect for that playbook, and I loved it, and it was iconic. And someone needed to boo her. She's a horrible person. Okay, so coming back into the stream. Firen and Echo and Ash have agreed to take part in this heist to steal these treasures. You saw them being taken away by attendants somewhere behind the tourney grounds, possibly in some kind of tent or something. However, it was also very much clearly guarded by the queen and her various guards. We also learned that Firen's ex is here and is someone who might not be their biggest fan, considering that she robbed them as well as having affairs with them. What are you all doing? Ash and Firen and Echo.
Well, Echo would love to track these particular goodies that have been tucked away, as I have the tracker move.
Heck yeah. Does this involve a rolling dice? If so, please could you roll some dice for me?
Yes, it does. And I get to roll plus heart instead of plus wit to figure them out, as I am trying to track a trail of where these things have been led to. Which is great because wit is a -1 and heart is a +2.
Okay, please give me the roll.
Okay, so 9.
On a 7 to 9, they take a string on you instead of asking a question back. Say why. Do they just smell that good or that fearsome?
So I would say that I'm probably trying to clock one of the people who is carrying one of the objects. And maybe it's that I'm trying to sidle up and flirt a little bit, or kind of ingratiate myself just a smidge.
Oh, I know exactly what has happened. Oh, this is fun. Okay, cool. This is another character from Darcy's scene. They're someone who I really love, and I'm very excited to introduce her into our game. So, you do a little sniffing around, Echo, figuratively, and possibly literally, if you choose. And this leads you to, okay, yeah, sure, a bunch of attendants, a bunch of guards. They're all kind of the same because they've all got these like helmets that cover their faces. It's hard to get a read on them. Also, they mostly smell of armor polish. And all of their boot tracks look the same because they're all wearing the same uniform. So that's like sort of helpful. What you quite quickly notice is that there is someone else. This other person there is a description in a book called A Memory Called Empire of a woman who gets the name The Edge Shine of a Knife. And I think there's a little bit of this going on here. It's also a little bit sort of Yennefer Vengerberg-y in terms of just like power and menace. This is a woman with dark brown skin. She's very slender. Everything about her is soft and silken. She has these beautiful braids that kind of threaded about with silver. And these very dark eyes, long eyelashes, and she's wearing a lot of lace, a lot of silver thread, a lot of embroidery. But as she moves, you notice that like her clothes are enchanted in some way, shifting. There's almost a kind of gauzy effect. There's this kind of like mesh kind of bodice and a kind of corset thing going on. She's wearing this kind of very tight kind of trousers and these long, long leather boots that come up to her thighs. There seems to be perhaps many concealed weapons on her, but you wouldn't know where to start. But what intrigues you, what you notice, the reason that you get a 7 to 9 rather than like total success, and what distracts you a little bit, is when she moves, you can't exactly tell where the real clothing ends and the magic begins. And there's a sort of pulling gauzy effect as she moves where you're like, how much is she wearing? And how much of what she's wearing is a sheer exercise in power and control? How much of this is her just moving around wrapped in the strength of her own power with no fear of anyone because she is just that deadly? And this woman is overseeing the movement of these priceless artifacts.
Fascinating.
And she takes a string on you.
Yeah, she does.
Mechanically speaking, but also, yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
And I would say she is just that, like, deadly attractive, powerful, that like it's very, very femme fatale in a medieval sense, in a magical sense. And Echo is very distracted for a moment, just watching her move. And then just kind of blinks and looks behind her, and Fiorin and Ash are just there waiting. Oh,
Echo,
right.
do you sense something?
Let's not. Yeah. And like motions for them to not talk directly in front of the guards that they're trying to rob from.
I
Leading
didn't know
them
we
away,
were
hopefully,
right.
somewhere else. Right. So potentially over there. However, dangerous, sexy, beautiful woman, dangerous, very dangerous. Yes, this might be challenging. Yes. Did I mention deadly? Very hot,
Yes.
but
Yep.
deadly.
Mhm.
Also sexy.
Yes.
Mm.
I was a little bit distracted. I'm sorry. Right. I think we're gonna need to find another way in. I love that you both just immediately turned and looked in opposite directions.
So is she the only, she's holding all the prizes?
No, she is overseeing a group of guards and attendants who are kind of moving them around, but she is clearly kind of the person in charge who is responsible for like making sure that these are moved safely from one place to another.
I see.
So maybe we can, maybe I can distract her, or maybe it's something that we need to find another way to get into it. Maybe there's another direction, another angle that we could take that we haven't spotted yet. We have a sense of at least where the things are, correct?
Yeah, like I mean, you definitely, because your tracking was successful with a complication. So your tracking means you know where the items are being transported to. You've got a good sense of how many people are moving them and where. The complication is, oh, sexy lady.
Yeah. I mean, she can I can distract her, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Let's workshop that. I actually have nothing. I don't know how to.
Good workshop.
Did she
Ash?
seem interested?
I didn't get a good look because I thought maybe that would be a bad idea. Just maybe.
I think it's worth a shot trying to talk to her, trying to be a bit flirty, you know.
You could offer her some bread.
I could. Let me see
Okay,
my
but
bread options.
Does she seem
euphemism,
like
or am I
someone who
literally
likes
giving her
bread?
bread?
Everyone likes bread, Firin. Come
That is true.
on.
Unless you have a gluten sensitivity. But
That's true.
anyway.
Out of character, I actually do have a gluten sensitivity, so it's a little bit sad, but
Garbanzo bean
Character is
flour.
hilarious.
Garbanzo bean flour.
yeah, there's a lot of
Wow.
gluten-free flours that are pretty good.
Mhm.
The ultimate power fantasy. Can't eat
Yeah.
bread.
Right? I can make a bread that gives you +1 forward to roll with a stat. So you could get another heart or whatever you use to like entice and stuff. I also have one that diminishes feelings of aggression in those who smell it. Yeah, those are probably the only useful ones.
I feel like the +1 forward would be useful for me.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna whip up this bread, or I gotta roll daring for it first.
Mhm.
Oh, that's very high. So 10 plus. I can just choose it and I don't have to, I can make it again this session. So I'm gonna make it's called fortified bread.
Okay.
Dry in texture. When eaten, take +1 forward to roll with a stat chosen when baked. So what stat is that?
Heart would make the most sense, correct?
Cool.
Okay.
So it's gonna be this like bun that's in the shape of a heart, and I give it to you.
All right.
Immediately start popping it in to my mouth.
You distract her with sexy bread, and Ash and I sneak into the tent.
I'm concerned about the words sexy and bread being put together.
Well,
Do I
I'm
eat the
not,
bread?
so
I'm not either.
So
If you eat the bread, it tastes delicious. Ash
Okay.
knows what she is doing. She
The
has
hint
good
of cinnamon.
ooh,
reason.
ooh,
Oh,
I'm here
this
for
is
it.
good sensory detail.
Mm.
Yeah, like she listen. Ash talks a big game, but the thing about them is that they are right. Like they are correct. Like they are pretty cool because she really can make magic bread with her hands that really does give magical effects.
Mhm.
So you eat it, it's delicious, and suddenly you know what? Echo is just feeling herself. Now, we said in the break that we missed it a couple times at the start of the stream, but I wanted you to take your feral track up twice. I want you to take up your feral track one more time, so it's 3 out of 4. Because you
No,
are feeling great.
My score starts at 1.
Oh, okay. I mean, I kind of do want to suggest this anyway. And the reason I'm suggesting it is
Okay.
that the way that the feral track works for the beast is that it goes up when you are being unapologetically yourself. And I think that
Okay.
when you are feeling really, really good and you are feeling yourself, you are not going to be trying to hide yourself and make yourself conform. You're probably going to be unapologetically yourself. But it's up to you, Anya. What would you like?
So it depends on how bestial the bestial form is, because that's not my jam.
No, it's your choice. So
Okay.
bestial, the beast is it's much more about the social side of things. So April Kit Welsh often says in interviews that the beast for April is the most trans of all of the playbooks. In that when April was writing the beast, it was all about like being happy being yourself and thinking what you were was beautiful and worth existing and having joy and power in that. And you lose power when you're the beast, when you try to hide yourself or cut off your corners or make yourself smaller. So the beast doesn't have to be literally turned into an animal.
Okay.
The beast can just be, I am myself and I'm not trying to pretend to be anything else.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm game for going for that transformation in that case.
Cool.
And honestly, I feel like Echo doesn't even notice when it happens because she's so used to just jiving as herself. She is happy. She is happiest when she is just living who she is and what she does. And so, yeah, she would totally go into that. So I
Hell
guess I
yeah.
need to roll for transform.
Yes, please. Roll plus daring.
Plus daring. Okay. That's a 7. So
So
7 and 9. Just barely.
So you get to choose one. You are in harmony with your beast and may clear a condition. You are magnificent and little escapes your notice. You gain leverage or an opportunity with a monster. Pain is nothing to you. Ignore this next time you would stagger while transformed. You can move in ways no ordinary person could.
That last one made me giggle a little bit. But you're magnificent and little escapes your notice makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the last thing I want to know is just in what ways is Echo becoming subtly or unsubtly a little more strange, a little more magical, a little more beastly to Bellamaran citizens as she steps out?
So her movements are becoming much more fluid, much more like imagine the how cats will like their heads will stay still as they're hunting something, you know. So she is just slinking forward, and her eyes just the color of her eyes expands so that there's no white showing anymore, and the eyes go down into like the slit pupils, still with the purple and the blue eyes. And the tufts in her ears extend, and she like her fur kind of poofs out a little bit more, and she gets a little bit more furry. But she is just feeling herself and is just slinking forward.
I am imagining a full-on Catra moment here, which is making me really happy.
I haven't seen it. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, hey, that is okay. But if anyone watching knows what I mean, enjoy it with me. So I think that yeah, like Firen and Ash. And I imagine there's two different perspectives on this. You see Echo just become so much more beautiful from one step to the next. You see her straighten, her become more comfortable in her body, her confidence. And there is just a glimmer and a glamour to that. There is something that you feel in your heart swelling as she steps out. And Ash, I think that possibly also for you, there's a bit of a pride because you did that. You made this person feel that good. You made this person feel that free. That is what you do. That is what you can do. And it is so magnificent.
I tell Firen, like, you know, bread has a lot of surprising health benefits.
Is that what your bread usually does?
Yeah, from time to time.
I need to start eating more bread.
Farron just adding something to like their player's playbook. Like she's just like, okay. All right. So Echo, you step out. There is this person in charge of the artifacts. We have got 40 minutes left of our stream. So it's time for us to go big or go home. And we're not going home because there's so far we traveled on a caravan for a really long time to get here. It's time to rob the queen.
Yes.
Okay. So Echo, how are you approaching? What's happened? Tell me what you do.
Immediately just making direct eye contact and immediately slinking forward and just going straight for this woman to distract her, and just leaning in, pausing to make sure that it's okay, and then just running her fingers along the jawline. Hello, pretty thing.
Ooh.
Who are you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Goodness. Please could you roll me to entice?
I am channeling my Laudna from Saturday. What am I rolling? Sorry.
Entice, you're rolling plus heart.
Plus heart.
And you've got a
Amazing.
+1 from Ash's magic breath.
8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh hell yeah. Okay, cool, great. This works so well. So you gain a string on them and they choose one. Get flustered and awkward, promise something they think you want, give in to desire. All right. So I should also have said, for people who've seen Arcane, I think that the way Triasa looks, at least in my head, is kind of like Mel Madrada, but with silver instead of gold. And kind of like more like if Mel was an assassin rather than a diplomat. That's kind of the feeling. So yeah, this woman looks at you, Triasa looks at you, and you kind of touch her chin, and you get the sense that people don't normally get this close to her. They're not normally allowed to. But
Mhm.
she looks up at you in all of your power and wildness and confidence. And you see her pupils dilate a little bit as her lips part, and she says, "My name is Triasa. Where did you come from?"
Came in on a caravan just to see what was all about here. I'm happy to have come to see you.
Well, and she steps forward, and if it's okay with you, Anya,
Mhm.
probably Triasa's gonna like put her hand on Echo's hip. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Triasa kind of trails her hand, sets her hand on Echo's hip, steps very, very close, so close that Echo can feel the warmth of Triasa's breath on her chin. And it smells sweet and minty as if she's been chewing something recently. And as she gets closer, you see that flickering magic, kind of gauzy, misty effect kind of drifting. And it kind of drifts back, and okay, yeah, sure. To some extent, we're just seeing a little more of her than we were before. But on a more serious and emotional note, you realize that consciously or subconsciously, she is a little bit bearing her heart to you as she steps closer, completely intrigued, completely enthralled, completely not paying attention to all of those magical
Mhm.
artifacts. And kind of glances down at your lips and back up into your eyes and says, "Say, has anyone given you the tour?"
No, I only just got here. Care to take me around?
"I would love to have you on my arm and in many other places." And she moves her hand from your hip to kind of hook through your elbow and moves to start leading you away, kind of gesturing towards things. Do you let her?
Oh, absolutely. I am completely distracting her from everything else that's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So she is, you are very successfully distracting her, and as she moves you feel this magic kind of drifting over you. It's a little cold but not uncomfortably. It's this kind of cooling breeze that just wraps around you like a cloak as she pulls you close and occasionally leans in, and when she says things about various kind of items, buildings, people, etc., she leans in a bit closer than she needs to, and her lips brush
Mm.
against your ear as her breath falls hot on your neck. And she is successfully distracted. They're in a Nash. What you doing? In fact, actually, I've asked what you're doing, but I would like you both to roll me, please, to defy disaster. If you want to get in there and rob those items, we're going to say that this is a defy disaster roll.
Okay.
Both of you are going to need to pass in order to get everything. If only one of you passes, we will resolve how that works out.
Okay.
Come on,
I
you
got
can
My
do
12.
this.
disaster is
It depends on like which stat you pick.
Yes, so defy disaster, it depends on how you're doing it. I'm gonna say that in this case, because you need to do this quickly, it is gonna be either your daring or your grace. Daring applying because you need some courage to boldface rob the queen of a kingdom when you are in her capital city. Daring because you certainly grace because you certainly need a level of dexterity and speed in order to do this without being noticed. So you're welcome to use daring or grace, but you cannot use wit, spirit, or heart.
I got a 7.
Okay, that's a mixed success. It's not the end of the world. Robin, what did you get?
I got a 12. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, amazing. All right, so a 7 to 9, the GM will offer you a hard choice or success with a sacrifice. Oh, I know, this is easy. Okay, so Ash, you do succeed. Now there are a couple different items. We've got the spice, we've got the flower, we've got the sword, and we've got the rainbow stone. So Ash, you successfully steal 2 of those, and my only rule is that neither of them can be the rainbow stone. Which 2 do you steal?
Okay. The fire dust for sure, and then the Everlily for Irian, of course.
Beautiful. All right. So yeah, Firen, here's the thing. Here's your hard choice. You get the sword just fine. That's not hard to pick up, but when you go to take the stone, you realize that it's kind of fixed. It's got a bit of a clasp thing going on. There's some kind of magical mechanism that there's these little bits of metal that are holding it in place in its case. And as you struggle to get it free, you realize that if you take the time you need to get the stone, you will be discovered. You can hear guards approaching. In fact, you can even hear the voice of the queen. So either you abandon it, you leave with your 3 items, but not the thing you came here for, or you stay and you get caught and risk a confrontation with the queen herself.
Ooh. I think that she would leave the stone. I think that there's a certain irony that she recognizes of stealing literally everything except for the thing that she was supposed to steal.
Okay. And you know, there's this moment, right, where you're moving away, and the Magayan Republic, it's this glittering city of sandstone and glass. It's all light and heat and alchemy. It's very mysterious, but it's for you, it's home. And as you move to let this thing go, your fingertips brush over the smooth glass-like surface of the crystal. And you could swear you can taste the like warm sand movement. It just, you feel for a second like a breath of home passes over you. And your fingertips trail longer than they need to along the crystal as you can't quite force yourself to pull away from a home that you haven't seen in some time and that you do miss. But you let it go. You get out of the tent, you're not seen. And the queen goes inside. At which point, as quite a large ruckus sets up because the guards realize that they've been robbed. You have both passed your Defy Disaster roll, so you are able to flee. But the alarm is shortly going to be raised everywhere. And just before it does, I want to know what's happening with Irene and Tristan. So we're going to rewind a little bit in time. Irene and Tristan got arrested, but then it was fine because it was Owen. You kind of had this plan. Irene was going to be Tristan's consort, maybe. And now you are free to wander the tourney grounds. You don't know where your friends are. You also, I don't think, even know necessarily. Oh, I think Tristan knows that Firen was planning on robbing this place because Firen and Tristan had a bit of a
it's our plan.
meeting of monarchs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were Tristan and Irene doing in this sort of hour and a half in which the rest of them did a kind of coup?
I will cede Irene, what would you like? What do you think? And then I'll play off of that.
Irene was going to try to steal the stone.
Cool.
Okay.
So what I'm going to suggest is that the tourney grounds, most tourney grounds, are a kind of oval kind of shape. And I'm going to say that Team A, well, I should say Team Gay, went round the right-hand side, and Team B or Team Bi went round the left-hand side. So Irene and Tristan, you're all going to kind of meet in the middle, I'm going to say. And when you get to that kind of central tent where the items are, that's when you're going to catch up in time to the moment that the queen and her guards kind of notice that everything's gone missing. And you'll likely see Ash and Firen running for their lives. So yeah, as you go around, is there anything particular you want to do or attempt? One thing that I'll put in your path is there is the poetry tent, the story tent, and Tristan, you would know as someone who'd grown up in this kingdom that the story contests are not a they're not a formal part of the tournament, but they are a place in which you can A, win prestige, and B, really influence hearts and minds. Tristan would also know that no one has ever given the stage to someone who isn't Bellamaran. But there is this wooden stage coming up right in front of you, and a small crowd gathered around it, listening to various people's opinions and speeches as part of the ongoing contest.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use like Prince's privilege to be the next person up to perform. And I'm going to get on stage, holding the favor with the flower, and make sure that Irene is like front and center, but also Owen as well. I think what we worked out with Owen is that, okay, stay with us. What we worked out is the next time that Irene acts inappropriately, then we're throwing them in the dungeon to kind of cover for Owen and to give Owen a reason as the captain of the guard to be following us. We're under house arrest, essentially, right?
Right.
And that is what the cover is going to be, because we do deserve to be punished. And having a chaperone is unfortunately going to have to be the punishment. But I get on stage and I say, people of Belmora and people of the many nations, I stand before you, your prince, the heir to the throne, son of our beloved queen. And he just starts counting all of her virtues. It's sort of like a different, very similar to the speech that the queen gave earlier, kind of echoing that and saying, my mother's always looked out for me, taught me how to wield a sword, and we'll draw the blade, right? The enemy sword that I have, which is your mother's knight sword. I was made my mother's squire when I was 14. When I was 16, I was sent out to lead the armies. You've all watched me grow up. You've all watched me fight for the glory of Bellamora. But I've also learned other things. I have studied in the ancient libraries. I have learned that we were not always a monarchy. And then I sheathed the blade very deliberately and put my hands up. We were once a great Senate, a great republic, a place where people of nations all over the world could come and find neutral ground to negotiate peace, to learn one another's cultures, a place of art, a place of learning, a place of philosophy. Yes, dark times came. In my grandfather's generation, we had to do what was necessary to protect our people from monsters and our enemies. But in that time, my grandfather's legacy has turned my family's heart dark. Beyond these borders, we are not celebrated. We are feared. And I stand before you as a person who may one day sit upon the throne, as a person who has pledged loyalty to our beloved queen, my mother. And the hypocrisy must end. These prizes should be gifts. And if I were on the throne, or if we were ruling this country together, as in the Old Kingdom, these things would be returned, or rather not even taken in the first place. And I know some of you feel that what I'm speaking is treason, but I'm not. I am appealing to the generosity and the beauty that my mother has seen to preserve. It is actions that are evil, not people. And in conclusion, I just ask that you keep an open mind. And if you are one of the champions that wins, and you are Bellamoran, I ask that you give these things and return them to their nations. And I would like to make the move, who's the monster? When you expose the hypocrisy of someone who is supposed to be virtuous, roll daring.
Cool.
And I am...
Tell me what happens.
Okay. Please lie. Okay. I rolled an 8 plus 2 daring is a 10.
Nice. Amazing. Cool. That is a total success. So let's see how that resolves. I always lose the infamous in here. Trickster, Spooky Witch, Seeker Scoundrel, Nature Witch, love you. Yes, who's the monster? Yes. 10 plus, gain a string on them and choose one. The wrongness of their act is exposed to all. They mark XP if they change their mind. If they don't, they must attack you or take a condition. Your words sting, they take a condition. You impress an onlooker, gain a string on them. What I will say is that since you are, Tristan, trying to sort of change people's minds on a kingdom, certainly the people here, should you so choose. Yeah, you know what? Hey, we're 7 minutes from the end. I'm going to give you, if you'd like it, here's my deal. If you want, you get a string on Bellamora, and you expose the actions of the queen as wrong to all.
Okay, I would love to do that. That is, yes, a string on Bellamora. That is freaking amazing. Thank you.
As you inspire the hearts and minds of the people, and that message spreads, and the people of your kingdom are now more invested in you personally than they were before. Irene, I'd really like to hear what you're doing and thinking and what you'd like to do as we draw towards the end of our game.
So as Tristan is making this speech, Irene smiles up at them, and they take a moment and they breathe, and they are going to try to awaken the wild.
Cool, please give me a roll.
Absolutely.
Big swing time, big swing time. Oh, it's baseball in here.
It is indeed baseball. Oh, beautiful! That is a 14 total.
That's okay. So normally the way that Awaken the Wild works is when you're in a safe position, attempt to commune with the place or non-sentient creature, roll plus spirit, choose one. You cleanse it of hurt, corruption, or sickness. You alter its behavior, ecosystem, or atmosphere to be one you choose. You make it dangerous for a certain person or creature or a type of person or creature. I'm going to say, Elle, we're in the last couple minutes of our game. Go wild. You have complete control over the fabric of this natural reality. What do you do with it?
The environment, the trees, the animals, the water, the very air itself is hostile towards the queen, and it will stop at nothing to show her every bit of pain that she has caused to Irene's home and deal it back. And anyone who tries to protect her will also feel the wrath of nature that has been burned for petty gain.
I completely love that. May I ask also, because I am happy to grant you this power, you can have more than one of these because we're at the end of the game. Is there anything else that you would like to do to Bellamora or to the people who are here at this tournament from all the other kingdoms?
Bright orange lilies sprout everywhere, and then more flowers sprout in different colors, yellow and green and red and blue and purple and violet and pink. A rainbow of colors. And people of Bellamora are able to see the beauty in unity and in love. They are able to understand the life that comes without conquest and with peace.
Okay. That is beautiful. I'm sorry.
And as this distraction, since we do have about an hour and 30 minutes of like downtime in universe, using all of this, using the hostilities against the queen and the love and the community and the acceptance, Irene goes into the tent, and Irene is going to have their little African gray parrot help them get the stone for Firen.
Beautiful. Alrighty, so we're gonna come into our like kind of final little wrap-up stuff shortly, but what I'd like to say from the perspective of the world is here's what happens. Queen Velda isn't seen again in Bellamara. She is seen in other places. She is an immigrant there. She is a foreigner and a traveler from a different country where people don't know her customs, and people treat her differently and sometimes strangely. Not always unkindly, not even often unkindly. But she learns exactly what it is like to be someone who doesn't fit in, or who is treated as being different or unacceptable because she is not conforming to the standards of a culture that is not her own. And she learns how to learn from other people. And it changes her a lot. And she stops using the name Velda. Now, some time ago, the incident that inspired Tristan's rebellion against their mother was when they were forced to face his own lover, Philenial, the Knight of Blossoms, in a duel to end the bloodshed between Bellamora's armies with the Dominion of Petals. This day, when Irene does this and covers Velda's tawny gowns with flowers of every color of the rainbow, spontaneously in a moment of impossible and strange magic, is known forever after in Bellamaro, along with the speech that Tristan made about the benefits of democracy, about the strength of community, as the Day of Blossoms. And a statue to Flannery is built in the Tawny Grounds, and forever after wreathed in rainbow-colored flowers. Viren, Echo, Ash, you escape. You kind of don't really need to, because suddenly the Tawny Grounds is covered in flowers, and you hear kind of a rumbling like the earth itself is trying to eat something, and then lots of people running away, and it seems like possibly the soldiers are like a little bit distracted. Echo, from Trias's perspective, oh boy howdy, there's a lot going on with her that we didn't even get into, but like, this happens. And she looks at you, and I'm gonna say this is a PG-13 stream, so we do have one F-bomb. I think she's gonna look at you and this impossible magic everywhere around her, and she is gonna say fuck it out loud, and then she's going to pull you close, and if it's okay with you, she's probably gonna kiss you. Is that okay with you, Anya?
Oh yeah. 100%.
And as she kisses you, the black and silver magical gauze misty clothing around her transforms into this shimmering rainbow of iridescent colors. And she holds you close and kisses you, and you feel her breathing magic into your lungs. And as it kind of fizzes inside of you, you feel it lighting up every part of you. You feel like you've got a head rush, like you've jumped off something high, but you know you're going to land safely, like you are swimming through the ocean. Suddenly you're just filled with this exhilarating sense of everything inside this woman that she has been holding down this whole time, that she is suddenly breathing out. And when she draws back, she kind of bumps her nose against yours and presses your foreheads together and says, I don't think I have ever felt this free.
Leaning forehead in, Echo says, you are incredible. Sorry,
she
I'm
laughs.
burping.
No,
Ruined that moment.
I feel like that is exactly what the beast would do, though. Like, I feel like actually, like, Echo like burps a bit after saying this, and then like Triasa just like tips her head back and laughs, and she's just like, and she reaches out and ruffles your hair, and she says, you know, this is the thing, I never felt like I could just be silly, or you don't know who I am, but trust me, if you did, you would understand. And this is just, I just kind of just want to be a person for a bit. And I'd like to do that with you. Can we just be idiots together?
I pull her in close and say, let's be idiots. Pull her in for a kiss.
She kisses you. Firan, Ash, and Irene. Firan and Ash, what's happening?
Well, do we meet up with Irene?
I was gonna say, like, I think considering you all have objects to hand to each other, that unless either Erin or Robin have strong feelings about something you'd like to do separately, we should probably squid you all together for the finale of our game.
Irene runs to Ash, gives her just this big hug and then presses their foreheads together very quickly. Big ol' smile. Oh, I'm really glad you're okay.
I'm really glad you're okay. And look what I got for you. And I just like take out the Everlily.
Thank
But we couldn't
you.
get the rainbow stone.
Oh, well, I think I can help with that. And Irene pulls out the stone and will offer it to Firen.
Firen takes it and nods and says, "Thanks. I honestly, I couldn't get it out, and weirdly, I was fine with that. I felt getting out with the sword was more important. Speaking of which, and I think Firen just says, to Echo, it's like, can I cut in? I need to return a sword."
Oh, Echo is indisposed for an undetermined amount of time. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I
I guess I'll
suggest?
just keep this on me for a minute.
Can I suggest, just for the visual, because it would give me enormous pleasure to imagine it, that maybe like the sword in the stone, Firen plants the crimson tongue in the grass, surrounded by these rainbow flowers, right next to these two kissing women. And then as you take that stone, and you said you don't feel it was as important as getting something for your friend, which I think is an extraordinary admission of selflessness for Firen, who normally kind of acts like she's only thinking in things for themselves. But you hold it, and it feels like home. And as you do, as an actual person from the Magayan Republic holds it, this fountain of light explodes out from it, and you feel something in your heart swelling and warming. And you look around you, and there's just these fireworks of rainbows exploding and falling on you all like glitter dust and rain. And the Bellamarans are looking up, and as rainbows splash in glitter and light on their faces, you see a lot of them for the first time in a long time, breathing a sigh of relief. That is where we will end our game. Thank you all very much for playing with me. We have got 9 minutes left of the stream, so we're going to really quickly plug ourselves, tell people where they can find us on social media, and mention a project of ours that we really want people to check out. We're going to start with Anya, please.
Hey, I wrote things down so I wouldn't forget it. Hi, I'm Anya, also known as Lalion Cosplay, almost literally everywhere except for the places I'm about to mention. So I did a crowdfunder for some solo games that I have written, and I have physical copies of Tea and Toadstools and Mountaintop Isolation available on my Ko-Fi, or Ko-fi, however you say it. That is actually Lalion Cosplay. I also have digital copies available for those and a bunch of other games that I write on my Itch.io store, including Sail the Oceans Queer, where you get to play queer magical pirates, and it's awesome. Those are on my itch shop, which is Lalion Publishing. I'm also a pro GM on Start Playing Games, and I just ran my 101st game this morning, which is incredible on Start Playing. So check me out, Lalion, on Start Playing Games. That's me.
Absolutely incredible. Next up, Hector.
Yes, I am Hector Reyes. You can find me on at Keiichi Okami on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and TikTok. And you can also find me under that name at Itch.io, where you can find all the games that I write. I'm also a game writer. And one big project I'm really excited about coming up is on the Greater Restoration channel. I'm going to be in a Blue Rose actual play series, the OG queer TTRPG. And I'm very excited. Tears of a Blue Rose, going to be playing a bard. So once that gets started up later this summer, in August, please watch me there.
Heck yeah. Elle.
Hi, I have been Elle. You can find out if I will continue to be Elle over on Twitter at Sapphic Soulful and on the Bardic Inspiration Network. Every other Monday and Wednesday, we have Tales of Exandria, and I play in both campaigns. So if you need a little bit more Critical Role in your life, come check us out. We're very fun. It's a very fun, very gay time. And we actually have a game going on tomorrow. So it's going to be very fun.
Absolutely gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Robin.
I'm Bitbirdie everywhere. On Twitter, there's an underscore in the beginning. I don't really have anything special to pitch or to talk about. So I just wanted to take this time to say that Ash, my character, is gonna make a bunch of cinnamon buns with this fire dust. So fire dust buns. And when you taste them, they're just like perfectly flaky, perfectly gooey with that sweet icing. And you just kind of feel this warmth like envelop your body and it feels like you're home. And that's all.
You just took the plug time to talk about baking, and that's so blessed. Thank you. Okay. And finally, Erin.
Hi, I'm Aaron Tierney. I am Veil's Edge Games on Twitter and itch.io. And you can find my games there. Also, in 2 weeks, I will be continuing as the storyteller of Crime Solvers Anonymous on Tales from the Table Studios. So check that out. It's a Monster of the Week game about former kid detectives. So yeah, come on by.
Just former kid detectives is such a strong pitch.
Oh,
Okay, so you've been watching a stream on Girls Run These Worlds. Girls Run These Worlds does so many things. So on Mondays we've got Rangers of the North. It is a Lord of the Rings series focused on teaching Free League Publishing's One Ring 5th edition system. It is so cool. I am extremely into the Rangers in Lord of the Rings, and if you're not, then that's because you don't know enough about them. And one way to learn more is to watch this stream. It's really great. There's also currently a casting call. If you want to do a game that was really nothing like this stream, you can apply to be an Alien 2 Destroyer of Worlds, which is going to be running from July 6th to 9th. So if you want to get your just like goth horror survivor alien hard sci-fi stuff on, please check out that casting call. It's going to be awesome. And I can say, as someone who's done a couple different things with Girls Run These Worlds, that they are such wonderful people to work with. They're very safe, they're very supportive. It's a really great team of people to work with, so do apply even if you've not done this kind of thing before. Finally, tomorrow at 8 p.m. We've got Roll for Luck on this very channel. So it is a long-running anchor show for Girls Run These Worlds. It's a sapphic homebrew world of Amalgarth with Girls Run These Worlds founder Ryu as the dungeon mistress. It's really, really cool. It's a classic of the genre. Do check it out for even more queer joy. My name is Ella Watts, and you can find me on social media at GEJ I'm a game designer. I made a book called Upriver Downriver, which is about rebuilding peace in the ruins of war whilst also sailing a ship on a magical river. You can buy the hard book or the PDF from a Covenant company. And if you want to check out anything else I do, I also work for an app called Zombies Run, which is really cool and free to download. It's a fitness audio drama thing. I know it sounds weird, but I do recommend it if you like listening to stuff whilst you exercise. We're all nerds, so I don't know how much any of us exercise, but I've been trying to get into it more. And if you want to make a nerd exercise, giving them a zombie apocalypse is one way to do it. Okay. That is everything. And I spoke so fast that we've actually got 4 minutes left. Heck yeah. So thank you all very much for watching the stream. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Are there any parting words that anyone in the cast would like to say before we go?
Be gay, do crimes.
Yes, be gay, do crimes.
Defeat a monarchy with the power of flowers and extreme violence.
And queer love.
And bread.
And queer love and bread.
And bread.
But remember to hydrate.
Yeah.
Or die
Always.
straight.
And take your meds. Also, please take your meds. As
Please
someone
take
who
them.
really needs to take my meds, take your meds. Okay. Well, thank you. The way to execute a queer revolution is with flowers, extreme violence, bread, and queer love. Strongly recommend that for this Disability Pride Month and for Pride Month, and let's be honest, Pride Month and being proud of who we are in our community does last all year round, and everyone is welcome at the table. So thank you very much. I think that shall be the end. Good night, good afternoon, take care.
Love.